Now that the Jeep actually moves, it's time to get serious about finishing this ZJ project, which means I'm going to need things like an exhaust. That's going to be a bit of a problem, because when we move the starter from the passenger side to the driver's side with the new NV3500 transmission, the manifold, this would be the manifold that came off there, the ZJ manifold goes right where the starter is. Now it covers up about half the pipe with the starter, so you're not going to get a pipe directly out of here. Here we have the stock exhaust manifold from the ZJ. Now try to shoot straight up into it. You can see the starter is going to interfere with the manifold. If you have a ZJ header, there's a possibility you might be able to tweak it or re-weld it just a little and make it work. But with the stock cast iron one, I'm not going to weld the cast iron, and I have other options, so I'm going to explore those. So, stock manifold, right up. Next thing I have is the transmission came out of a Dakota. The Dakota manifold would fit the transmission. It puts the starter right here, the exhaust goes behind the starter, and theoretically it would work fine with that motor tranny combo. Problem is, it won't work with the ZJ, because the ZJ has a firewall there, and that's going to be a problem. Right here, I have the header that I used in the 3K Hoopty Challenge in the ZJ Gasser. This is a Dakota header. I was running automatic at the time, so it had no problem with the starter, but that's what I had to do to it to make it fit the firewall. The entire end had to be chopped off, angled downward in order to clear the firewall. So that will not work with a starter on that side anymore, because I just pointed the exhaust directly at the starter. So Dakota stuff is right out. I don't have any Ram stuff sitting around. I expect it's the same as the Dakota, but if you find one that fits, let me know and I will put that information up. Now, stuff that will work. This right here is a passenger side ZJ manifold. Now, this is going to have to point backwards in order to fit, and you can bolt it on. It puts the starter right here. The motor mount is right about here, and you actually can go in front of the motor mount and get around everything with the exhaust. You have to do a U-turn and make some good bends, but this one will function with that starter there. And I'll show you a little bit of under car footage so you can see exactly where it comes out, because I tried this one out. Here is the outlet. You can see there's the harmonic balancer. There is the power steering pump, the steering box, but that is where a passenger side ZJ manifold comes out if you turn it around. Now, it actually doesn't look too bad. This bolt on the motor mount would probably have to be flipped around so that the head is here and the long threads stick out the other end. And you're a little tight on the steering shaft, but it looks like it will clear. So I think you could come out from that manifold, straight around, loop, go to this side. Let's see. There is the track bar. You should be able to fit a pipe right there above the track bar, and because this is just pivoting, you're not going to change your clearance there much. And I think you could sneak it back that way. Or you could come around tight next to the motor here. Well, don't mind the cobwebs. Ran into a Black Widow earlier today. So you could come straight from that outlet around straight next to the motor, or there really is enough clearance to go underneath to go across. But with the passenger side manifold flipped around, that is an option for running an exhaust. Now, another option, we're getting better here, is the LA block manifold. Now these LA block manifolds put the outlet in the center. This one is from a street sweeper. But it should be about the same as most of the mid-70s 318 type stuff. Starter goes right here. This fits fine. The outlet's in a good spot. Motor mount's over here. This one for packaging is just about perfect. There's the starter. There's the exit. There's the motor mount. You got a ton of room to work with. The problem is, for flow, it's not so good. The outlet is considerably smaller. I think I can compare them here. There's the ZJ outlet, there's the LA block outlet. You got a pretty big difference there. So if you're running at low RPM, where you're not really concerned about maximum flow, this will probably work fine. And it may just work fine anyway. But I have another option available. This right here is a shorty header for the LA block earlier model 318s. This fits fine, and I know that because I've already installed it. This is the one I used on the ZJ gasser when I converted that to a 5-speed. So I already know it works. Normal internet wisdom is that it flows about the same as a stock manifold. People tell you don't bother, you won't get any gains. But that actually works for me because I'm not planning on replacing the other manifold on the passenger side. So I'm going to run this one on the driver's side, stock manifold on the passenger side. Hopefully they flow about the same so that I don't have any weird issues with fuel mixtures. And this is going to be shiny too, so how can you beat that? Now, a couple words of warning about this one. First off, you have to buy them in pairs. For some reason, people don't sell individual manifolds for V8s. Go figure. So I had this one left over anyway because I bought a pair of them to do the gasser. The other thing is the collector. You'll notice all the other manifolds have a nice tapered seat that seals real well. This uses a flat gasket. It does not seal as well, and it didn't matter on most of these motors because they had carbs on them. For fuel injection, you've got an oxygen sensor downstream. So if you have a leak here, you've got a problem. You're going to get the sensor reading wrong and messing up your fuel mixtures. So right now I'm going to install it as is, and I'm going to see how it goes and see if I get a leak. But hopefully it'll work for as long as I need it. If not, you can weld on a newer style connector. You can always take a connector off another header and weld it on here. But that means you're buying a lot of headers and you're going to have too many lying around in pieces. So I'm going to give it a shot. Like I said, I've already tried this on the ZJ gasser and it actually works fine there. I haven't had an exhaust leak issue, but it helps that it has a 3-inch glass pack as the entire exhaust system. I'm going to go ahead and give this a shot, install it in here, try it out, and let you know how it works. But I think this one's going to work fine. This is the outlet of the LA block shorty header on the Magnum motor in the ZJ. This is your upper control arm. There's not a whole lot of room here. It's pretty tight. If you're trying to make this combo work, I would go with a different type of collector. I think that clearance is too tight. I am planning on lifting this Jeep, so that's going to grow by 2 inches. So I shouldn't have any problem with what I'm doing here. You can see the starter over there. Tons of clearance there. As we come back out, we have the axle. Everything else is pretty good. Just that one control arm is real tight. And like I said, this thing's going up in the air, so that'll work out fine. Now what I've got down here is the factory Y pipe. Now this side I didn't change, so that should be fine all the way to the exhaust. Here is the side where I modified to the LA block style, so this is going to have to be over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to slice this thing right here, put a sleeve on it, rotate that pipe, then change out this end to match, and I think it'll all come together. But that side I'm just going to leave all as stock because that's the way it was. It did bolt right in. Now what I've done is make a little elbow. Now this elbow is right off the collector that came with the headers. I cut it short, put the tightest bend I had right out of it, and so that is going to go right up here. Let's see if I can do it without blocking all your light. Let me stick my hand around. Okay, so that one is going to go and exit right here. So that's going to come right out between the axle, oil pan, and everything. I've installed the factory Y pipe. Right here is a sleeve that'll let me connect the other piece at a new angle. And that will be this one right here. So that'll fit in that sleeve.
That'll go up to that elbow I just made up there. And I think a few welds and this thing will be all ready to go. So I'm gonna get to it. The only thing I needed was a little bend, a pretty sharp one, but right out of the collector. Everything else is off the factory Y pipe. I reused everything. And a sleeve. Need a sleeve too. We go from the header down to a sharp angle that then goes down to the original Y pipe. And out she goes.